Ejen Ali. The movie too immediately proves why it is considered one of the most ambitious animated productions ever created in Southeast Asia because the movie expands the scale, emotional depth, character development, action choreography, and technological world-building established in previous installments while delivering an experience that feels larger, more mature, and more confident from beginning to end. And one of the most impressive aspects of the film is the way it balances high-energy spy adventure with meaningful character growth, because the story is not satisfied with simply presenting action sequences and visual spectacle but instead focuses heavily on the personal struggles, responsibilities, insecurities, and difficult choices faced by its central characters, creating a narrative that remains emotionally engaging even during its most explosive moments. And from the opening scenes, the movie establishes a sense of urgency and excitement as audiences are reintroduced to a futuristic world filled with advanced technology, secret organizations, highly trained agents, artificial intelligence systems, and complex security threats, while maintaining enough clarity to ensure that viewers never feel overwhelmed by the amount of information being presented. And this careful balance between accessibility and complexity becomes one of the film's greatest strengths, because newcomers can enjoy the story while longtime fans are rewarded with deeper connections to the larger mythology and character relationships that have been developing throughout the franchise. And the central storyline benefits enormously from its focus on responsibility, because Ali is no longer simply a talented young agent learning the basics of espionage, and instead finds himself facing challenges that test his judgment, leadership abilities, emotional maturity, confidence, and understanding of what it truly means to protect others. And this evolution helps the character feel more realistic, because growth is portrayed as a difficult process filled with uncertainty rather than an automatic progression toward perfection. And one of the most successful elements of the screenplay is the way it consistently presents situations where easy answers do not exist, forcing characters to make difficult decisions while dealing with competing priorities, personal loyalties, institutional expectations, and larger threats that continue escalating throughout the narrative. And this complexity helps elevate the film beyond standard family entertainment, because viewers are encouraged to think about the consequences of choices rather than focusing solely on immediate victories and defeats. And another major strength involves the world building, because Nazariya feels more alive, detailed, and technologically advanced than ever before as the filmmakers expand the scope of the universe through new locations, organizations, technologies, and operational systems that enrich the setting, while maintaining internal consistency and credibility. And every environment appears carefully designed to communicate information about the society in which the story takes place, allowing the world itself to become an important storytelling tool rather than merely a backdrop for action. And the animation quality represents one of the most significant achievements of the entire production, because the visual improvements are immediately noticeable in character expressions, environmental detail, lighting, textures, movement, effects work, and overall cinematic presentation, creating a level of polish that compares favorably with many international animated features. And the action sequences particularly benefit from these advancements, because battles, chases, tactical operations, and high-speed confrontations are executed with impressive energy and clarity, ensuring that viewers can follow the choreography while appreciating the creativity behind each sequence. And another notable accomplishment is the film's ability to generate tension, because the narrative understands that suspense comes from uncertainty and emotional investment rather than constant noise or spectacle. And many of the strongest scenes rely on anticipation, strategy, conflicting objectives, and character relationships to create engagement before eventually delivering impressive action payoffs. And this approach results in a more satisfying viewing experience, because excitement emerges naturally from the story rather than feeling disconnected from it. And the emotional core of the movie is equally effective, because the relationships between characters receive meaningful attention throughout the narrative, allowing moments of friendship, trust, disappointment, loyalty, and personal reflection to resonate with genuine sincerity, and these emotional foundations ensure that audiences care about the outcomes of conflicts because they understand what is at stake for the people involved rather than simply observing events unfold from a distance. And another reason the film succeeds is its commitment to character-driven storytelling, because even when dealing with advanced technology and large-scale threats, the narrative never loses sight of the individuals at its center and repeatedly emphasizes how personal choices shape larger events, creating a stronger connection between emotional development and plot progression. And the voice performances contribute significantly to this success because the cast delivers convincing emotional work that helps bring the animated characters to life while maintaining authenticity during both dramatic and action-oriented sequences. And the soundtrack further enhances the experience through effective musical compositions that support tension, excitement, emotional moments, and major narrative developments without becoming overwhelming. And another major achievement is the pacing, because the film moves confidently between action, exposition, character development, suspense, and emotional storytelling while maintaining momentum and ensuring that every major sequence contributes something meaningful to the overall narrative. And this careful structure prevents the movie from feeling repetitive despite its substantial runtime, while keeping audiences invested from beginning to end. And the visual storytelling deserves additional praise because the filmmakers frequently communicate information through animation, environmental detail, composition, movement, and expression rather than relying entirely on dialogue, creating a more cinematic experience that rewards attention and enhances immersion. And another impressive quality is the thematic depth, because beneath the surface level excitement, the movie explores ideas related to trust, leadership, responsibility, identity, teamwork, technological dependence, personal growth, and the challenges of balancing individual ability with collective effort. And these themes add substance to the entertainment while remaining accessible to younger viewers and meaningful for older audiences as well. And the film also demonstrates remarkable confidence in its creative identity, because it never feels like an imitation of larger international franchises and instead embraces its own style, mythology, cultural influences, and storytelling priorities, creating a unique experience that stands on its own merits. And this originality becomes increasingly important as the story progresses, because it allows the movie to establish memorable moments that feel specific to its world and characters rather than borrowed from familiar genre conventions. And another strength lies in the way the narrative handles technological concepts, because advanced systems, artificial intelligence, specialized equipment, and futuristic infrastructure are integrated naturally into the world building without becoming overly complicated or distracting from the emotional focus of the story. And this balance helps maintain accessibility while still providing enough depth to satisfy viewers interested in science fiction elements. And throughout the film there is a consistent sense of ambition that becomes evident in every aspect of the production, from animation and sound design to character writing, narrative structure, thematic exploration, and action choreography. And this ambition is supported by a level of craftsmanship that allows the movie to achieve its goals without losing emotional authenticity or entertainment value. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds because it combines outstanding animation, exciting action, meaningful character development, strong emotional foundations, impressive world building, intelligent storytelling, and confident direction into a highly engaging cinematic experience that respects its audience, expands its universe, and delivers a memorable adventure that remains compelling long after the final scene has ended, while establishing itself as one of the strongest animated features to emerge from the region in recent years. Ejen Ali, the movie too further distinguishes itself through its remarkable handling of teamwork, because the film consistently emphasizes that even the most talented individuals cannot succeed alone, and that meaningful achievements often emerge through cooperation, trust, communication, and the willingness to rely on others when circumstances become overwhelming. While this theme becomes increasingly important as the narrative progresses and helps create a more emotionally satisfying experience than many action-focused animated films that concentrate primarily on individual heroics, and one of the most impressive aspects of the storytelling is the way different characters contribute unique strengths, perspectives, skills, and experiences to the larger mission, allowing every member of the team to feel valuable and relevant rather than existing solely to support the protagonist. And this balanced approach strengthens the ensemble dynamic while creating a richer and more believable world where success depends upon collaboration rather than extraordinary talent alone. And another major strength involves the portrayal of leadership, because the narrative repeatedly demonstrates that leadership is not simply about giving orders or possessing superior abilities but requires judgment, responsibility, adaptability, empathy, and the capacity to inspire confidence in others. And these ideas are explored through situations that challenge assumptions about authority while encouraging viewers to think about the qualities that define effective leadership under pressure. And the film also excels at illustrating how trust develops through shared experiences, because relationships are strengthened not through dramatic speeches but through reliability, mutual support, personal sacrifice, and the willingness to stand together during difficult moments, creating emotional connections that feel authentic and earned throughout the story. And another notable achievement is the way the movie handles strategic thinking, because many conflicts are resolved through planning, observation, teamwork, creativity, and quick decision-making rather than simple physical superiority. And this focus adds intellectual engagement to the action while reinforcing the importance of cooperation and preparation within the narrative. And the visual execution of these sequences remains highly impressive, because operations, tactical movements, coordinated missions, and fast-paced confrontations are animated with exceptional clarity, allowing viewers to appreciate the contributions of multiple characters simultaneously without losing track of the larger objective. And another reason the film remains engaging is its ability to create meaningful tension through uncertainty, because victory is never presented as guaranteed and characters must frequently adapt to changing circumstances, unexpected obstacles, and evolving threats, which keeps the audience invested in outcomes while highlighting the value of flexibility and resilience. And the emotional atmosphere continues to benefit from the strong ensemble, because friendships, professional respect, loyalty, and shared responsibility frequently shape decisions and create moments of genuine emotional impact that complement the larger action-driven narrative. And another strength lies in the way the film explores confidence, because characters are often forced to confront doubts regarding their abilities, decisions, and responsibilities, while learning that true confidence develops through experience, effort, and trust in both oneself and others rather than certainty alone. And this perspective adds emotional maturity to the story while making personal growth feel realistic and relatable. And the dialogue continues to serve an important role, because conversations frequently reveal evolving relationships, strategic considerations, emotional concerns, and differing perspectives, while maintaining natural pacing and contributing to both characterization and narrative progression. And the animation deserves additional recognition for the way it communicates teamwork visually through coordinated movement, expressive reactions, environmental interaction, and carefully staged action sequences that reinforce the thematic focus on cooperation without requiring constant verbal explanation. And another compelling aspect of the film is its recognition that effective teamwork does not eliminate disagreement, because individuals often possess different priorities, methods, and opinions. And the story realistically portrays how productive collaboration frequently involves negotiation, compromise, and mutual respect rather than complete uniformity. And this nuance strengthens the realism of the relationships while enriching the emotional and thematic complexity of the narrative. And the pacing remains consistently strong, because the movie understands how to balance action, character interaction, problem solving, suspense, and emotional reflection, creating a rhythm that maintains excitement without sacrificing depth or clarity. And another notable achievement is the way the story encourages viewers to appreciate collective effort, because major accomplishments are repeatedly shown to result from the combined contributions of many individuals rather than a single hero, which creates a more inclusive and inspiring message while reinforcing the importance of community and shared responsibility. And throughout the film there is a clear appreciation for the idea that people become stronger when they support one another, and that trust, cooperation, and understanding can often achieve results that would be impossible through individual effort alone. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds in transforming teamwork from a simple narrative concept into a powerful emotional and thematic foundation that strengthens character relationships, enhances action sequences, deepens audience investment, and creates a rewarding cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true success is rarely achieved alone, and that meaningful progress often depends upon the ability to work together toward a common goal. Ejen Ali, the movie too reaches another impressive level through its exploration of technology and innovation, because the film treats futuristic advancements not merely as visual attractions but as integral elements that influence society, decision-making, security, communication, personal responsibility, and the daily lives of its characters, while creating a world that feels increasingly sophisticated and believable as the story unfolds. And one of the most compelling aspects of the narrative is the way it examines the relationship between humans and technology, because advanced systems are presented as powerful tools capable of creating opportunities, solving problems, and improving efficiency, while simultaneously introducing new risks, ethical questions, vulnerabilities, and dependencies that require careful consideration. And this balanced perspective adds maturity to the storytelling by avoiding simplistic conclusions regarding progress and innovation. And another major strength involves the portrayal of adaptation, because characters are frequently required to understand, master, and respond to rapidly evolving technological circumstances, while demonstrating that intelligence, flexibility, creativity, and judgment remain essential even in a world supported by highly advanced systems. And this focus reinforces the idea that technology alone cannot replace human insight or responsibility. And the film also excels at world integration, because futuristic devices, security networks, artificial intelligence, transportation systems, tactical equipment, and digital infrastructure are woven naturally into the environment, creating a setting where innovation feels like a genuine part of everyday life rather than a collection of disconnected science fiction concepts. And this attention to detail strengthens immersion while making the world more engaging and convincing. And another notable achievement is the way the movie explores dependence, because several situations encourage viewers to consider what happens when people place excessive trust in systems they may not fully understand. And this thematic thread adds tension and intellectual depth to the narrative, while reinforcing the importance of critical thinking and personal accountability even in highly advanced environments. And the visual presentation of technology remains exceptional, because interfaces, equipment, vehicles, operational systems, and digital effects are designed with creativity and consistency, allowing every innovation to feel distinct while contributing to the overall identity of the film. And another reason the movie remains compelling is its ability to use technological concepts to enhance character development, because interactions with advanced tools frequently reveal personality traits, decision-making styles, strengths, weaknesses, and emotional priorities, creating a meaningful connection between the science fiction elements and the human experiences at the center of the story. And the action sequences benefit enormously from this approach, because technology becomes an active part of strategy, problem solving, and conflict resolution rather than functioning as a simple shortcut to victory. And this emphasis on intelligent application over raw power creates more engaging and unpredictable scenarios throughout the narrative. And another strength lies in the exploration of innovation itself, because the film repeatedly suggests that progress depends upon curiosity, experimentation, collaboration, and the willingness to challenge existing assumptions while acknowledging that every advancement carries responsibilities that must be considered alongside potential benefits, and this perspective adds thematic richness while encouraging viewers to think critically about the role of technology in shaping the future, and the emotional atmosphere gains additional depth from these ideas because many of the most important decisions involve balancing efficiency with empathy, capability with caution, and ambition with responsibility, creating situations where technological possibilities intersect meaningfully with personal values and relationships. And another compelling aspect of the story is its recognition that knowledge can be both empowering and demanding, because increased access to information often creates new obligations and expectations, and the narrative effectively explores how characters respond to this reality while continuing to grow and adapt under pressure, and the dialogue continues to support these themes effectively by introducing complex concepts in accessible ways while revealing differing perspectives regarding innovation, security, trust, and responsibility, and ensuring that conversations remain engaging and relevant to both the plot and broader thematic concerns. And the animation further enhances the experience through detailed visual design, fluid integration of digital environments, and imaginative technological concepts that feel advanced yet understandable, adding to the sense of immersion and reinforcing the film's futuristic identity. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative avoids presenting technology as inherently good or bad and instead focuses on how people choose to use it, emphasizing that tools ultimately reflect the intentions, priorities, and judgment of those who control them, and this nuanced approach strengthens the intellectual credibility of the story while making its themes more universally relevant. And throughout the film, there is a clear appreciation for the possibilities created by innovation alongside an equally strong awareness of the responsibilities that accompany progress, creating a balanced and thoughtful perspective that enriches the viewing experience. And ultimately, Ejen, the movie too succeeds by transforming technology from a background element into a central thematic force that strengthens world building, deepens character development, enhances action, enriches narrative complexity, and creates a fascinating exploration of how human values continue to matter even within an increasingly advanced and interconnected future. Ejen, the movie too becomes even more rewarding through its exploration of sacrifice, because the film repeatedly demonstrates that protecting others often requires difficult choices, personal compromise, emotional courage, and the willingness to place collective well-being above individual comfort. While this theme gives the narrative a strong emotional core that elevates the story beyond its impressive action and visual spectacle, and one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays sacrifice not as a dramatic gesture performed for recognition but as a quiet and often difficult decision made out of responsibility, loyalty, conviction, and care for others. And this approach adds authenticity to the emotional journey of the characters while making important moments feel earned rather than manufactured. And another major strength involves the recognition that meaningful sacrifice frequently carries consequences, because characters must often balance personal desires, ambitions, fears, and relationships against larger obligations, creating internal conflicts that enrich characterization and strengthen audience investment throughout the narrative. And the film also excels at illustrating how sacrifice can take many forms, because not every act involves physical danger, and many of the most significant choices require patience, trust, restraint, understanding, perseverance, and the willingness to support others even when immediate rewards are uncertain. And this broader perspective adds thematic depth while reinforcing the idea that courage can be expressed in numerous ways depending on the circumstances. And another notable achievement is the way the story connects sacrifice to leadership, because individuals who assume greater responsibility are frequently required to make decisions that prioritize long-term outcomes over personal preference, and these situations create compelling emotional tension while encouraging viewers to think about the true cost of protecting and guiding others. And the relationships benefit enormously from this thematic focus, because trust, friendship, loyalty, and mutual respect are often strengthened through actions that demonstrate commitment rather than words alone, creating emotional developments that feel genuine and impactful while deepening the connection between characters and audiences alike. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that sacrifice often involves uncertainty, because people rarely know whether their choices will produce the results they hope for, and this unpredictability adds realism while ensuring that emotional stakes remain high throughout the story and the action sequences gain additional meaning as a result, because they are frequently driven by personal conviction and responsibility rather than simple excitement, allowing dramatic moments to resonate on both emotional and narrative levels simultaneously. And another strength lies in the portrayal of resilience, because sacrifice often requires endurance and determination, and the narrative consistently shows characters continuing forward despite setbacks, obstacles, pressure, and difficult circumstances, creating inspiring yet believable examples of perseverance that reinforce the film's broader themes regarding commitment and responsibility. And the emotional atmosphere becomes especially effective because moments of selflessness are balanced with realistic emotional responses, including doubt, fear, frustration, hope, and reflection, allowing the characters to remain relatable while making their decisions feel more significant and authentic. And another compelling aspect of the movie is its recognition that sacrifice can inspire others, because acts of courage and responsibility frequently influence those around them, creating positive ripple effects that extend beyond immediate situations and strengthen the sense of teamwork and shared purpose that runs throughout the narrative. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing motivations, concerns, priorities, and emotional struggles through conversations that feel natural and meaningful, while contributing to both character development and thematic exploration. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of sacrifice through expressive animation, carefully observed reactions, symbolic imagery, and emotionally charged moments that communicate the weight of important decisions without relying on excessive exposition, adding depth and maturity to the viewing experience. And another notable achievement is the way the story avoids treating sacrifice as perfection, because characters remain vulnerable, uncertain, and imperfect even when acting courageously, and this realism strengthens emotional credibility while reinforcing the idea that bravery often involves moving forward despite fear rather than existing without it. And throughout the film there is a clear understanding that meaningful achievements are frequently built upon personal effort, difficult choices, and a willingness to place something larger than oneself first, creating a powerful emotional foundation that supports the entire narrative. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming sacrifice into a deeply resonant thematic force that strengthens relationships, enriches character arcs, enhances emotional engagement, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true heroism is often measured not by power or recognition but by the willingness to give something of oneself for the benefit of others. Ejen Ali, the movie too demonstrates remarkable storytelling strength through its exploration of identity, because the film consistently examines what it means to define oneself within a world filled with expectations, responsibilities, advanced technology, organizational demands, and personal ambitions, while showing that true identity is not determined solely by talent, titles, abilities, or achievements but by the choices individuals make when confronted with uncertainty, pressure, and difficult moral situations. And this thematic focus adds significant emotional depth to the narrative, because many of the most important moments involve characters questioning who they are, what they stand for, and how they wish to be remembered rather than simply focusing on the immediate mission before them. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays identity as something that evolves through experience, because growth does not occur through sudden transformation but through repeated challenges, personal reflection, mistakes, successes, and relationships that gradually shape a person's understanding of themselves, and this realistic approach strengthens audience connection while making character development feel meaningful and authentic throughout the story. And another major strength involves the tension between individuality and expectation, because several characters must navigate situations where external pressures attempt to define their roles, abilities, or futures, while they simultaneously struggle to remain true to their own values and beliefs. And this conflict creates emotionally engaging drama that resonates beyond the science fiction setting, because it reflects universal experiences related to self-discovery and personal growth. And the film also excels at illustrating how identity is influenced by relationships, because trust, friendship, mentorship, teamwork, loyalty, and emotional support frequently help individuals recognize strengths and possibilities they might not have discovered independently. And this emphasis on human connection reinforces the emotional core of the story while demonstrating that personal development often occurs through interaction with others rather than isolation. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores confidence, because characters frequently face moments where they must decide whether to trust their judgment, abilities, and instincts despite uncertainty or self-doubt, and these situations contribute to realistic emotional growth while reinforcing the idea that confidence is built through experience and perseverance rather than guaranteed success. And the world building supports these themes effectively, because the futuristic environment constantly presents opportunities and challenges that force characters to reassess their priorities, responsibilities, and understanding of themselves, creating a setting where personal growth feels naturally integrated into the larger narrative rather than existing as a separate subplot. And another reason the film remains engaging is its recognition that identity can be complicated, because individuals often possess strengths and weaknesses simultaneously and may struggle to reconcile different aspects of their personalities, ambitions, and responsibilities. And this complexity prevents characters from feeling simplistic while encouraging viewers to empathize with their journeys. And the emotional atmosphere benefits greatly from this thematic focus, because moments of self-discovery, personal realization, and growing self-confidence carry genuine weight and contribute meaningfully to the broader narrative, creating a stronger connection between emotional development and plot progression throughout the film. And another strength lies in the portrayal of self-acceptance, because the story repeatedly suggests that understanding and embracing one's limitations can be just as important as recognizing strengths. And this balanced perspective adds maturity to the storytelling while reinforcing realistic character growth. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing internal conflicts, evolving perspectives, aspirations, fears, and personal insights through conversations that remain engaging and emotionally grounded while contributing significantly to thematic development and characterization. And the visual storytelling further enhances the exploration of identity through expressive animation, thoughtful character reactions, symbolic imagery, and carefully crafted emotional moments that communicate personal growth without requiring excessive explanation, adding depth and authenticity to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that identity is closely connected to responsibility, because understanding who one is often influences how one responds to challenges, opportunities, relationships, and difficult decisions. And this connection strengthens the overall thematic structure while reinforcing the film's broader examination of maturity and leadership. And throughout the story there is a clear appreciation for the idea that becoming the best version of oneself requires honesty, courage, adaptability, perseverance, and a willingness to continue learning even after achieving success, creating an inspiring message that remains accessible to audiences of all ages. And ultimately, Ejen, the movie too succeeds by transforming questions of identity, self-discovery, confidence, individuality, and personal growth into a powerful emotional foundation that enriches the narrative, strengthens character development, deepens audience engagement, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that the most important journey is often the one that leads to a clearer understanding of who we truly are. Ejen Ali. The movie too further elevates its storytelling through its exploration of trust because the film repeatedly demonstrates that trust is one of the most valuable and fragile elements within any relationship, mission, organization, or community, and that building it requires honesty, consistency, reliability, understanding, and mutual respect. While losing it can create consequences that extend far beyond a single mistake or misunderstanding, and this thematic focus strengthens both the emotional and narrative foundations of the movie because many of the most important developments emerge from questions regarding who can be trusted, why trust matters, and how people respond when that trust is tested under pressure. And one of the most compelling aspects of the film is the way it portrays trust as something that must be earned rather than automatically granted, because characters frequently face situations where confidence in others is challenged by uncertainty, conflicting information, personal fears, changing circumstances, and difficult decisions, and this realistic approach creates meaningful tension while encouraging audiences to consider the importance of trust in their own lives and relationships. And another major strength involves the recognition that trust and communication are closely connected because misunderstandings, secrecy, assumptions, and incomplete information often create obstacles that prevent individuals from fully understanding one another, while honest dialogue, transparency, and active listening help strengthen connections and improve cooperation. And this relationship between communication and trust becomes a recurring source of emotional depth throughout the narrative while reinforcing the film's broader themes regarding teamwork and responsibility. And the movie also excels at illustrating how trust influences performance because individuals who feel supported and respected are often more willing to take initiative, share ideas, accept responsibility, and work effectively with others, creating an environment where collaboration becomes possible even in difficult situations. And this perspective adds realism while highlighting the practical importance of strong relationships within high-pressure environments. And another notable achievement is the way the story explores the risks associated with trust because believing in someone always involves a degree of vulnerability and uncertainty, and the narrative realistically acknowledges that trust can lead to disappointment while simultaneously showing that meaningful cooperation becomes impossible without it. And this balanced approach adds maturity to the storytelling while preventing the theme from feeling simplistic or idealized, and the relationships continue to benefit greatly from this focus because emotional connections are strengthened through actions rather than promises alone, and characters repeatedly demonstrate loyalty, reliability, support, and integrity in ways that make important developments feel earned and emotionally satisfying while deepening audience investment in their journeys. And another reason the film remains engaging is its recognition that rebuilding trust can be more difficult than establishing it because repairing damaged relationships often requires patience, accountability, change, and consistent effort. And this realism contributes to stronger character development while reinforcing the emotional stakes of interpersonal conflict throughout the narrative, and the action sequences gain additional significance as a result because success frequently depends not only on skill or technology but also on confidence in teammates, shared understanding, and the ability to rely on others during moments of uncertainty. And this thematic integration helps ensure that action remains connected to character and story rather than existing purely for spectacle. And another strength lies in the portrayal of leadership because the movie repeatedly suggests that effective leaders inspire trust through actions, judgment, honesty, and responsibility rather than authority alone. And this perspective enriches the narrative while encouraging thoughtful reflection regarding the qualities that create genuine influence and respect. And the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of belief, reassurance, forgiveness, loyalty, and mutual understanding carry significant emotional weight when contrasted with earlier doubt, tension, or uncertainty, creating a satisfying sense of progression throughout the story. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing changing perceptions, emotional concerns, personal convictions, and evolving relationships through conversations that remain natural, engaging, and relevant to both the plot and broader thematic structure while contributing meaningfully to characterization and emotional depth, and the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of trust through expressive reactions. Meaningful eye contact, coordinated teamwork, subtle body language, and carefully crafted emotional moments that communicate connection without requiring excessive exposition, adding authenticity and richness to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that trust often requires courage, because believing in others sometimes means accepting uncertainty and choosing cooperation despite potential risks, and this understanding gives the theme additional emotional resonance while reinforcing the film's broader messages regarding growth, teamwork, and personal responsibility. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that strong relationships are built through consistent actions rather than simple declarations, and that trust remains one of the foundations upon which meaningful achievements and lasting connections are created. And ultimately, Ejen, the movie too succeeds by transforming trust into a powerful emotional and thematic force that strengthens character relationships, deepens narrative complexity, enhances audience engagement, enriches the action, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that progress becomes possible when people are willing to believe in one another and work together toward a shared purpose. Ejen, the movie too becomes increasingly impressive through its exploration of responsibility, because the film consistently presents responsibility as more than simply completing assignments or following instructions, and instead examines the emotional, ethical, and personal weight that accompanies positions of trust, leadership, and influence, while showing that true responsibility often involves making difficult choices when every available option carries consequences. And this thematic focus gives the narrative a mature foundation that strengthens both character development and dramatic tension throughout the story. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays responsibility as a journey rather than a destination, because characters continuously learn that growing stronger, gaining experience, and acquiring new abilities also increases the expectations placed upon them and requires greater awareness regarding how their actions affect others. And this realistic progression helps create believable development while reinforcing the emotional authenticity of the narrative. And another major strength involves the examination of pressure, because responsibility frequently brings uncertainty, self-doubt, fear of failure, and the challenge of balancing personal desires against larger obligations. And the film effectively captures these emotional realities by allowing characters to struggle with important decisions rather than presenting them as effortlessly confident heroes. And this vulnerability makes their achievements feel more meaningful while increasing audience investment in their journeys. And the movie also excels at illustrating how responsibility is connected to trust, because people are often given opportunities, authority, and support based upon the belief that they will use those things wisely. And the narrative repeatedly demonstrates that honoring this trust requires integrity, judgment, consistency, and accountability, which adds thematic depth while reinforcing the importance of character within positions of influence. And another notable achievement is the way the story explores the consequences of avoiding responsibility, because moments of hesitation, misjudgment, overconfidence, or emotional avoidance frequently create challenges that must eventually be confronted. And this realistic treatment of cause and effect strengthens the credibility of the narrative while encouraging viewers to consider the impact of their own choices and actions. And the relationships continue to benefit greatly from this thematic focus, because responsibility often extends beyond personal success and includes supporting teammates, protecting others, maintaining commitments, and acting in ways that strengthen collective goals, creating emotional connections that feel authentic and significant throughout the film. And another reason the movie remains engaging is its recognition that responsibility can sometimes feel isolating, because important decisions are not always understood by everyone affected by them, and individuals may need to act according to their principles even when facing criticism, disagreement, or uncertainty, and this emotional complexity adds depth to character arcs while highlighting the courage often required to do what one believes is right, and the action sequences gain additional meaning as a result because they frequently emerge from situations involving duty, commitment, and difficult choices rather than existing solely as opportunities for excitement and spectacle, and this integration of theme and action helps create a more satisfying and emotionally resonant viewing experience overall. And another strength lies in the portrayal of accountability, because the film consistently emphasizes that accepting responsibility also means accepting the outcomes of one's decisions, whether positive or negative, and this perspective reinforces personal growth while encouraging maturity and self-awareness throughout the narrative, and the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of leadership, sacrifice, perseverance, and determination carry greater impact when viewers understand the pressures and obligations motivating those actions, creating stronger emotional engagement and narrative investment. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing evolving priorities, internal conflicts, ethical concerns, and personal reflections through conversations that feel natural and meaningful, while contributing significantly to characterization and thematic exploration. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of responsibility through expressive animation, carefully observed reactions, symbolic imagery, and subtle emotional details that communicate the weight of important decisions without relying on excessive exposition, adding authenticity and depth to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that responsibility does not require perfection, because mistakes remain an inevitable part of growth, and the story realistically portrays how individuals learn, adapt, and improve through experience rather than expecting flawless performance. And this understanding strengthens the emotional realism of the film while making its messages more relatable and inspiring. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that responsibility is ultimately about choosing to act with integrity, awareness, and commitment even when circumstances become difficult, creating a powerful thematic foundation that supports every major development within the narrative. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming responsibility into a central emotional and dramatic force that deepens characterization, enriches relationships, strengthens thematic complexity, enhances audience engagement, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true growth often begins when individuals accept not only the rewards of their abilities but also the obligations that come with them. Ejen Ali, the movie too strengthens its emotional impact through its exploration of perseverance, because the film consistently highlights the importance of continuing forward despite setbacks, obstacles, uncertainty, disappointment, and fear, while showing that success is rarely achieved through talent alone and instead requires patience, determination, adaptability, learning, and the willingness to keep trying when circumstances become increasingly difficult. And this theme resonates throughout the narrative because nearly every major character encounters situations that test their confidence, resolve, and belief in themselves, creating a story that feels inspiring without becoming unrealistic or overly sentimental. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays perseverance as a process filled with struggle rather than a simple display of strength, because characters frequently experience frustration, self-doubt, exhaustion, and moments where failure appears possible, yet continue searching for solutions and opportunities to improve. And this realistic approach makes their victories feel earned while encouraging viewers to appreciate the effort behind achievement rather than focusing solely on the outcome. And another major strength involves the recognition that perseverance often requires adaptation, because determination alone is not always enough, and the narrative repeatedly demonstrates that growth depends upon learning from mistakes, adjusting strategies, accepting feedback, and remaining open to new perspectives, which adds intellectual and emotional depth to the storytelling while reinforcing the importance of flexibility alongside persistence. And the film also excels at illustrating how support from others can strengthen perseverance, because friendships, mentorship, teamwork, trust, and encouragement frequently provide characters with the motivation needed to continue during difficult moments, and this emphasis on connection enriches the emotional core of the story while reinforcing the broader themes of cooperation and shared responsibility that run throughout the narrative. And another notable achievement is the way the movie explores resilience in the face of uncertainty, because characters are often required to act without guarantees, make decisions with incomplete information, and continue moving forward despite not knowing whether their efforts will succeed. And this willingness to embrace uncertainty adds realism while creating tension that keeps audiences invested in the outcome of every major challenge. And the action sequences benefit significantly from this thematic focus because they are rarely presented as effortless demonstrations of power and instead emphasize preparation, endurance, problem-solving, teamwork, and determination, making each success feel meaningful and connected to the characters' personal journeys rather than existing purely for spectacle. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that perseverance is closely connected to hope, because individuals often continue striving toward difficult goals because they believe improvement remains possible even when evidence seems limited. And this emotional dimension gives the narrative additional warmth while helping balance the more intense moments of conflict and suspense throughout the story. And the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective as a result because setbacks carry genuine weight while moments of progress, breakthrough, and achievement feel deeply satisfying, creating a rewarding rhythm that sustains audience engagement from beginning to end. And another strength lies in the portrayal of learning, because the narrative repeatedly suggests that mistakes are valuable when treated as opportunities for growth rather than permanent failures. And this perspective adds maturity to the storytelling while encouraging viewers to approach challenges with curiosity and resilience rather than fear. And the dialogue continues to support these themes effectively by revealing changing attitudes, renewed determination, personal reflections, and emotional encouragement through conversations that remain natural and meaningful while contributing significantly to character development and thematic exploration. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of perseverance through expressive animation, carefully observed reactions, dynamic action choreography, and subtle emotional details that communicate effort, determination, and growth without requiring excessive exposition, adding authenticity and emotional resonance to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that perseverance often inspires others, because acts of determination can create positive influence beyond the individual and encourage teammates, friends, and communities to remain committed to shared goals even during difficult circumstances. And this broader impact strengthens the thematic structure while reinforcing the interconnected nature of personal and collective success. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that meaningful accomplishments are rarely immediate and that progress often depends upon the willingness to continue learning, adapting, and striving despite setbacks, creating an inspiring message that remains accessible to viewers of all ages. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming perseverance into a powerful emotional and thematic force that deepens character development, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative engagement, enhances the impact of action and drama, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true achievement often belongs not to those who never struggle but to those who refuse to stop moving forward. Ejen Ali, the movie too gains additional narrative strength through its exploration of courage, because the film consistently presents courage as something far more meaningful than physical bravery alone, while demonstrating that true courage often involves confronting uncertainty, accepting responsibility, making difficult decisions, standing by personal convictions, admitting mistakes, protecting others, and continuing to act despite fear rather than existing without fear. And this nuanced understanding of bravery adds emotional depth to the story while creating character journeys that feel relatable and inspiring across different age groups. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays courage as a choice that must be made repeatedly because the characters are not defined by a single heroic moment but by their willingness to keep facing challenges even when circumstances become increasingly complicated and demanding, and this approach strengthens the realism of the narrative because it acknowledges that confidence can fluctuate while determination often requires constant effort and self-belief, and another major strength involves the recognition that courage can appear in many forms because the story highlights emotional honesty, self-sacrifice, leadership, perseverance, loyalty, and the willingness to trust others as equally important expressions of bravery, creating a broader and more mature perspective that enriches the thematic foundation of the film while encouraging viewers to reconsider conventional ideas regarding heroism. And the movie also excels at illustrating how courage and vulnerability are closely connected because many of the most powerful moments occur when characters choose openness, accountability, or honesty despite the possibility of criticism, disappointment, or failure, and this emotional risk creates meaningful drama while reinforcing the idea that strength often emerges through authenticity rather than invulnerability. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores the influence of courageous actions because individual decisions frequently inspire confidence, hope, and determination in others, creating positive momentum that extends beyond the immediate situation and strengthens both relationships and teamwork throughout the story. And this emphasis on influence adds thematic richness while reinforcing the interconnected nature of personal growth and collective success, and the action sequences benefit enormously from this focus because they are driven not only by spectacle but also by meaningful motivations connected to responsibility, protection, commitment, and personal conviction, ensuring that every major confrontation carries emotional significance alongside visual excitement. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that courage often requires accepting uncertainty because characters are frequently forced to act without knowing whether their choices will succeed, and this willingness to move forward despite incomplete information creates tension, suspense, and emotional investment that keep audiences connected to the narrative while highlighting the complexity of leadership and decision-making. And the relationships continue to gain depth from this thematic exploration because trust, friendship, mentorship, and loyalty are repeatedly strengthened through courageous choices that demonstrate commitment and integrity in ways that words alone cannot achieve, creating emotional developments that feel genuine and satisfying throughout the film. And another strength lies in the portrayal of growth because acts of bravery frequently lead characters toward greater self-awareness, confidence, maturity, and understanding, while illustrating that courage is often a catalyst for personal transformation rather than merely a response to external threats. And this perspective adds emotional resonance while reinforcing the broader themes of identity and responsibility that run throughout the narrative. And the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of fear, uncertainty, determination, and triumph are balanced carefully, allowing audiences to appreciate the challenges involved in courageous action rather than viewing success as inevitable. And this balance strengthens both realism and emotional impact across the story, and the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing doubts, motivations, convictions, aspirations, and evolving perspectives through conversations that remain natural, engaging, and emotionally meaningful while contributing significantly to character development and thematic exploration. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of courage through expressive animation, dynamic action choreography, subtle emotional cues, and carefully crafted character reactions that communicate internal strength and vulnerability without requiring excessive exposition, adding authenticity and depth to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that courage often involves acting for something larger than oneself because many important decisions are motivated by concern for teammates, communities, principles, and future outcomes rather than personal recognition, and this selfless dimension strengthens the moral and emotional foundation of the film while making its messages more impactful and universally relevant. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that bravery is not measured solely by dramatic actions but also by everyday choices to remain honest, responsible, compassionate, and committed even when doing so becomes difficult, creating an inspiring perspective that resonates far beyond the immediate context of the story. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming courage into a powerful emotional and thematic force that deepens characterization, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative engagement, enhances the impact of action and drama, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true heroism often begins the moment someone chooses to move forward despite fear and uncertainty. Ejen Ali, the movie too reaches another impressive storytelling milestone through its exploration of loyalty, because the film consistently demonstrates that loyalty is not simply blind obedience or unquestioning support but a complex balance between trust, honesty, responsibility, respect, and the willingness to stand beside others during moments of uncertainty and difficulty while also having the courage to challenge them when necessary. And this mature interpretation adds considerable emotional depth to the narrative, because many of the strongest relationships within the story are shaped by questions regarding commitment, belief, sacrifice, and mutual understanding rather than simple agreement. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays loyalty as something that must be strengthened through actions over time, because trust is built through consistency, reliability, shared experiences, and demonstrated character rather than promises alone. And this realistic approach helps make emotional connections feel authentic while increasing audience investment in the people at the center of the story. And another major strength involves the recognition that loyalty can be tested by conflicting priorities, because characters frequently encounter situations where personal relationships, professional responsibilities, moral principles, and larger objectives do not align perfectly, and these dilemmas create meaningful dramatic tension while encouraging viewers to consider the complexities involved in remaining faithful to both people and values simultaneously. And the film also excels at illustrating how loyalty contributes to resilience, because individuals often find greater strength when they know others believe in them and are willing to support them during difficult circumstances. And this emotional foundation reinforces the importance of teamwork and human connection throughout the narrative, while helping create a sense of unity that strengthens the overall impact of the story. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores reciprocal loyalty, because relationships are presented as partnerships rather than one-sided obligations, and the film repeatedly demonstrates that trust and commitment become most meaningful when they are shared, respected, and reinforced through mutual effort, creating emotional dynamics that feel balanced and believable throughout the movie. And the action sequences gain additional significance from this thematic focus, because many confrontations involve not only physical challenges but also opportunities for characters to demonstrate dedication, reliability, and confidence in one another under pressure, ensuring that major set pieces contribute to both emotional and narrative progression rather than existing solely for spectacle. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that loyalty sometimes requires difficult honesty, because supporting someone does not always mean agreeing with every decision, and the story effectively explores situations where genuine care involves offering guidance, expressing concern, or encouraging growth even when those actions create temporary tension. And this nuance adds maturity while reinforcing the authenticity of the relationships being portrayed, and the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of trust, solidarity, reassurance, and sacrifice carry significant weight when viewed through the lens of loyalty, creating a stronger connection between audience and character while making emotional payoffs feel earned and satisfying. And another strength lies in the portrayal of belonging, because loyalty frequently helps individuals feel connected to something larger than themselves, whether that involves friendships, teams, communities, or shared missions, and this sense of purpose contributes to personal confidence and emotional stability throughout the narrative while reinforcing the broader themes of cooperation and identity, and the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing commitments, concerns, motivations, emotional bonds, and evolving perspectives through conversations that remain natural, meaningful, and closely tied to character development while enhancing thematic depth and emotional engagement. And the visual storytelling further strengthens the examination of loyalty through expressive performances, coordinated teamwork, subtle gestures of support, meaningful reactions, and carefully crafted emotional moments that communicate dedication and trust without relying on excessive exposition, adding richness and authenticity to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that loyalty often involves perseverance because maintaining strong relationships requires patience, understanding, forgiveness, effort, and a willingness to remain present during difficult periods rather than only celebrating success. And this realistic perspective adds emotional credibility while reinforcing the film's commitment to portraying meaningful human connections. And throughout the story there is a clear appreciation for the idea that loyalty represents one of the foundations upon which trust, teamwork, friendship, and leadership are built, creating a powerful thematic framework that supports nearly every major development within the narrative. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming loyalty into a deeply resonant emotional and thematic force that strengthens character relationships, enriches narrative complexity, enhances audience investment, supports the action with meaningful motivations, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true loyalty is revealed not when circumstances are easy but when people choose to remain committed to one another during the moments that matter most. Ejen Ali, the movie too achieves another layer of narrative excellence through its exploration of leadership because the film consistently presents leadership as a responsibility rather than a privilege and demonstrates that true leaders are defined not by authority, status, or recognition but by their ability to inspire confidence, make difficult decisions, support others, remain accountable for outcomes, and place collective success above personal gain. While this thematic focus gives the story greater emotional maturity and allows character development to progress in meaningful ways throughout the narrative, and one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays leadership as something that must be earned because respect is shown to emerge through actions, integrity, competence, empathy, and consistency rather than titles alone. And this realistic approach helps create believable relationships while encouraging viewers to think critically about what qualities make someone worthy of influence and trust. And another major strength involves the recognition that leadership often requires uncertainty because many important decisions must be made without complete information, and characters are frequently forced to weigh risks, consequences, responsibilities, and competing priorities before choosing a path forward. And this complexity prevents leadership from appearing effortless while reinforcing the emotional and psychological challenges associated with guiding others during difficult circumstances. And the film also excels at illustrating how leadership and service are connected because effective leaders repeatedly demonstrate a willingness to listen, support, protect, and empower those around them rather than focusing exclusively on their own success. And this perspective adds emotional depth while strengthening the broader themes of teamwork, responsibility, and sacrifice that run throughout the narrative. And another notable achievement is the way the story explores the burden of expectation because individuals placed in positions of influence often face pressure from others as well as themselves, and the movie realistically portrays how these expectations can create doubt, stress, fear of failure, and emotional conflict while still allowing characters to grow through experience and perseverance. And the relationships benefit greatly from this thematic focus because trust and cooperation frequently depend upon the quality of leadership being demonstrated, creating situations where communication, accountability, and mutual respect become essential components of both personal and professional success. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that leadership does not eliminate vulnerability, because even capable individuals continue to experience uncertainty, make mistakes, and learn from experience, and this realism strengthens audience connection while making personal growth feel authentic and earned rather than automatic. And the action sequences gain additional meaning as a result, because strategic decisions, coordination, responsibility, and the welfare of others often influence outcomes as much as physical ability or technological advantage, ensuring that dramatic moments remain closely tied to character development and thematic exploration. And another strength lies in the portrayal of mentorship, because experienced figures frequently help guide others through example, advice, encouragement, and constructive feedback, creating opportunities for knowledge transfer and emotional growth that enrich both the narrative and the relationships within it. And the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of responsibility, decision-making, support, and personal sacrifice carry greater impact when viewers understand the pressures and obligations associated with leadership, creating stronger emotional investment and more satisfying dramatic payoffs throughout the story. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing priorities, convictions, doubts, strategic thinking, and evolving perspectives through conversations that remain engaging and emotionally meaningful while contributing significantly to characterization and thematic depth. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of leadership through expressive animation, deliberate staging, meaningful reactions, coordinated teamwork, and subtle emotional cues that communicate authority, responsibility, and personal growth without relying on excessive exposition, adding authenticity and sophistication to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that leadership often involves helping others succeed, because true influence is measured not only by personal achievements but also by the ability to encourage growth, confidence, capability, and resilience in those around us. And this perspective gives the film additional emotional richness while reinforcing its positive and inspiring message regarding cooperation and shared success. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that leadership is a continuous process of learning, adapting, supporting, and accepting responsibility rather than a final destination reached through accomplishment alone, creating a thoughtful thematic foundation that strengthens every major development within the story. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming leadership into a powerful emotional and narrative force that deepens character arcs, enriches relationships, enhances dramatic tension, strengthens thematic complexity, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that the best leaders are often those who use their strength not to elevate themselves but to help others become stronger as well. Ejen Ali, the movie too continues to impress through its exploration of personal growth, because the film consistently emphasizes that becoming stronger is not simply a matter of gaining new abilities, mastering advanced technology, or achieving success, but involves developing wisdom, emotional maturity, self-awareness, adaptability, patience, and a deeper understanding of both oneself and the people around them. While this theme serves as one of the most important foundations of the narrative and helps transform the story from a traditional action-adventure into a meaningful journey of development and self-discovery, and one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays growth as a gradual process rather than an instant transformation, because characters frequently learn through experience, mistakes, setbacks, challenges, and difficult decisions, which creates a realistic and relatable portrayal of improvement while reinforcing the idea that meaningful progress often requires effort and perseverance over time. And another major strength involves the recognition that growth frequently begins with discomfort, because many important lessons emerge when individuals are forced to confront weaknesses, limitations, fears, assumptions, and unfamiliar situations, and the narrative effectively uses these moments to create emotional depth while encouraging viewers to see challenges as opportunities for learning rather than obstacles to avoid. And the film also excels at illustrating how growth and responsibility are connected because increased knowledge, skill, and confidence often bring greater expectations and obligations, and characters repeatedly discover that maturity involves understanding how to use their abilities wisely rather than simply possessing them, and this perspective strengthens the thematic richness of the story while reinforcing broader messages regarding accountability and leadership. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores adaptability, because the rapidly changing circumstances within the film require individuals to adjust their thinking, embrace new information, reconsider old assumptions, and respond creatively to unexpected problems. And this focus on flexibility adds realism while demonstrating that growth often depends upon a willingness to evolve rather than remain attached to familiar patterns. And the relationships continue to play a crucial role in this process because friendships, mentorships, teamwork, trust, and emotional support frequently provide opportunities for reflection, learning, encouragement, and personal development, creating meaningful interactions that strengthen both characterization and audience engagement throughout the narrative. And another reason the movie remains compelling is its understanding that growth does not eliminate struggle, because even as characters become more capable, they continue to face uncertainty, pressure, mistakes, and emotional challenges, and this realism prevents development from feeling artificial while making achievements more satisfying and believable. And the action sequences gain additional significance as a result because they often function as tests of character as much as demonstrations of skill, allowing viewers to observe how individuals apply lessons learned through previous experiences. And this integration of action and development helps create a more rewarding viewing experience overall. And another strength lies in the portrayal of self-discovery, because the film repeatedly suggests that understanding personal strengths is only part of the journey, and that genuine maturity also requires acknowledging limitations, accepting help when necessary, and remaining open to continued learning. And this balanced perspective adds emotional authenticity while reinforcing the complexity of personal growth, and the emotional atmosphere becomes especially effective because moments of realization, improvement, perseverance, and achievement carry genuine impact when contrasted with earlier struggles, creating a strong sense of progression that keeps audiences invested in the characters' journeys from beginning to end. And the dialogue continues to support these themes effectively by revealing changing perspectives, lessons learned, aspirations, doubts, and evolving priorities through conversations that remain natural, engaging, and emotionally resonant, while contributing significantly to characterization and thematic development. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of growth through expressive animation, subtle character reactions, symbolic imagery, and carefully crafted emotional moments that communicate transformation without requiring excessive explanation, adding depth and authenticity to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that growth often inspires others, because individuals who learn, improve, and persevere can become positive examples for those around them, creating ripple effects that extend beyond personal success and strengthen communities, friendships, and teams. And this broader impact enriches the thematic structure while reinforcing the interconnected nature of human development. And throughout the film there is a clear appreciation for the idea that becoming better is a lifelong process shaped by experience, effort, humility, curiosity, and resilience, creating a powerful and inspiring message that resonates across different generations of viewers. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming personal growth into a central emotional and thematic force that deepens characterization, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative engagement, enhances the significance of action and drama, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true strength is measured not only by what people can do but by how much they are willing to learn, adapt, and grow. Ejen Ali, The movie too develops even greater emotional resonance through its exploration of determination because the film repeatedly demonstrates that achieving meaningful goals requires more than natural talent, advanced equipment, or favorable circumstances and instead depends upon persistence, focus, discipline, commitment, and the willingness to continue striving even when progress appears slow or obstacles seem overwhelming. While this theme becomes deeply woven into the narrative and helps create a powerful sense of momentum that drives both the characters and the story forward, and one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays determination as a conscious choice because individuals frequently encounter moments where giving up would be easier than continuing yet choose to persist despite uncertainty, pressure, fatigue, setbacks, and fear, and this realistic approach strengthens audience engagement while reinforcing the idea that success is often built through repeated effort rather than isolated moments of brilliance. And another major strength involves the recognition that determination is closely connected to purpose because characters are most effective when they possess a clear understanding of what they are fighting for, protecting, or trying to achieve, and the narrative consistently highlights how meaningful goals provide motivation during difficult periods, creating emotional depth while encouraging viewers to reflect on the importance of personal direction and commitment within their own lives. And the film also excels at illustrating how determination often requires patience because significant achievements rarely occur immediately and many of the most rewarding developments emerge only after sustained effort, learning, adaptation, and perseverance. And this perspective adds maturity to the storytelling while helping the characters' accomplishments feel earned rather than inevitable. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores the relationship between determination and confidence because self-belief is frequently strengthened through action and experience rather than existing from the beginning, and the story effectively demonstrates how individuals become more capable by repeatedly facing challenges and discovering that they can overcome difficulties they once believed impossible, creating satisfying character progression throughout the film. And the relationships continue to play an important role in supporting this theme because encouragement, trust, teamwork, mentorship, and emotional support often help characters maintain motivation during challenging situations, reinforcing the idea that determination can be strengthened through positive connections with others rather than relying solely on individual effort. And another reason the movie remains engaging is its understanding that determination does not eliminate doubt because even the most committed individuals continue to question themselves, worry about outcomes, and experience moments of uncertainty, and this realism prevents characters from becoming idealized while making their perseverance more inspiring and relatable for audiences. And the action sequences gain additional meaning because they frequently serve as tests of endurance, adaptability, and commitment rather than simple demonstrations of power, allowing viewers to appreciate not only what characters achieve but also the effort required to reach those achievements. And this integration of theme and spectacle helps create a richer cinematic experience that remains emotionally engaging alongside its visual excitement. And another strength lies in the portrayal of discipline because the narrative repeatedly suggests that determination becomes most effective when combined with preparation, responsibility, self-control, and consistent effort, creating a balanced understanding of achievement that avoids simplistic messages regarding success and talent. And the emotional atmosphere becomes especially rewarding because moments of progress, breakthrough, and accomplishment feel significant after viewers have witnessed the struggles, sacrifices, and persistence required to reach them, creating strong emotional payoffs that reinforce investment in the characters' journeys. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing aspirations, frustrations, renewed motivation, personal reflections, and evolving priorities through conversations that remain natural, meaningful, and closely connected to both characterization and thematic development while maintaining strong emotional authenticity throughout the narrative. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of determination through expressive animation, dynamic action choreography, carefully observed emotional reactions, and symbolic moments that communicate effort, resilience, and commitment without requiring excessive explanation, adding depth and impact to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that determination can influence others because acts of persistence often inspire teammates, friends, and allies to continue pursuing shared objectives even when challenges become increasingly difficult, creating a positive cycle of encouragement that strengthens both relationships and collective success. Throughout the story and throughout the film, there is a clear appreciation for the idea that meaningful accomplishments are rarely the result of luck alone, and that progress often belongs to those who remain committed to their goals despite setbacks, obstacles, and uncertainty, creating a powerful and universally relevant message that resonates with audiences of different ages and backgrounds. And ultimately, Ejen, the movie too succeeds by transforming determination into a major emotional and thematic force that deepens character development, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative momentum, enhances the impact of action and drama, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that the path towards success is often defined not by how quickly someone reaches a destination but by their willingness to keep moving forward when the journey becomes difficult. Ejen, the movie too further strengthens its narrative impact through its exploration of unity, because the film consistently emphasizes that collective strength often surpasses individual capability and that meaningful victories are rarely achieved through isolated effort alone, while demonstrating how cooperation, mutual respect, shared purpose, understanding, and commitment can bring together people with different skills, personalities, perspectives, and experiences in pursuit of a common goal. And this thematic focus gives the story additional emotional weight because many of its most significant moments emerge from characters learning how to work together despite differences rather than relying exclusively on personal talent or technological advantages. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays unity as something that must be built intentionally, because trust, coordination, communication, and respect require effort and cannot be assumed automatically, and the narrative effectively illustrates how strong teams are formed through experience, patience, accountability, and the willingness to value the contributions of others, creating relationships that feel authentic and emotionally satisfying throughout the story. And another major strength involves the recognition that unity does not require uniformity, because individuals remain unique in their abilities, opinions, strengths, weaknesses, and approaches, while still finding ways to collaborate effectively. And this perspective adds realism and maturity to the storytelling by acknowledging that productive cooperation often depends upon embracing differences rather than eliminating them. And the film also excels at illustrating how shared goals can create powerful connections, because characters become more effective when they focus on collective objectives rather than personal recognition, and this emphasis on purpose strengthens emotional engagement while reinforcing broader themes regarding responsibility, loyalty, leadership, and service that run throughout the narrative. And another notable achievement is the way the story explores the challenges of maintaining unity under pressure, because difficult circumstances frequently test relationships, create disagreements, and expose vulnerabilities, yet the narrative realistically demonstrates that resilience and understanding can help groups overcome tension and remain focused on what truly matters. And this approach adds dramatic depth while making moments of cooperation feel earned and meaningful rather than automatic, and the action sequences benefit enormously from this thematic focus because coordinated teamwork, strategic collaboration, synchronized efforts, and mutual support frequently determine success, allowing major set pieces to showcase not only impressive animation and choreography but also the emotional bonds connecting the characters. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that unity often requires humility, because effective cooperation depends upon listening to others, accepting feedback, acknowledging limitations, and recognizing that no single individual possesses every answer, and this message adds emotional authenticity while encouraging viewers to appreciate the value of collective wisdom and shared effort, and the relationships continue to gain depth through this exploration because friendships, mentorships, alliances, and professional partnerships are strengthened by moments of trust, sacrifice, encouragement, and mutual understanding, creating emotional connections that resonate throughout the narrative and contribute significantly to audience investment. And another strength lies in the portrayal of belonging, because the film repeatedly suggests that people become more confident, resilient, and capable when they feel connected to supportive communities, and this sense of inclusion provides a powerful emotional foundation that enhances both character development and thematic richness across the story. And the emotional atmosphere becomes especially effective because moments of solidarity, cooperation, support, and collective achievement carry substantial emotional impact when contrasted with earlier challenges and uncertainties, creating rewarding payoffs that reinforce the importance of unity throughout the narrative. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing shared values, personal commitments, evolving relationships, differing viewpoints, and collective aspirations through conversations that remain engaging, emotionally meaningful, and closely tied to both characterization and thematic development while maintaining authenticity and narrative momentum. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of unity through expressive animation, coordinated action sequences, symbolic imagery, carefully staged group interactions, and subtle emotional details that communicate connection and cooperation without requiring excessive exposition, adding depth and sophistication to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that unity can inspire confidence, because individuals often become willing to face greater challenges when they know they are supported by people who believe in them, and this emotional reinforcement strengthens both personal growth and collective success throughout the story while contributing to its uplifting and inspiring tone. And throughout the film there is a clear appreciation for the idea that communities become strongest when individuals combine their talents, respect one another's contributions, and remain committed to shared values, creating a powerful message that extends beyond the immediate events of the narrative and resonates with audiences on a broader human level. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming unity into a major emotional and thematic force that deepens relationships, enriches character development, strengthens narrative engagement, enhances the impact of action and drama, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that people often achieve their greatest successes not when they stand alone but when they stand together. Ejen Ali, the movie too reaches another remarkable level of storytelling through its exploration of legacy, because the film consistently examines how actions, decisions, values, achievements, and personal choices can influence the future while demonstrating that legacy is not defined solely by fame, power, recognition, or accomplishment but by the lasting impact individuals leave on the people, communities, and institutions around them. And this thematic focus adds emotional maturity to the narrative, because many of the most meaningful moments encourage characters to think beyond immediate objectives and consider the long-term consequences of their actions while reflecting on the kind of example they wish to set for others. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays legacy as something created gradually through everyday choices rather than a single defining moment, because respect, trust, influence, and meaningful contribution are shown to emerge through consistency, integrity, perseverance, responsibility, and service over time. And this realistic perspective strengthens the emotional authenticity of the story while reinforcing the importance of character in shaping the future. And another major strength involves the recognition that legacy often carries responsibility, because individuals who possess knowledge, experience, influence, or leadership opportunities must decide how to use those advantages and whether their actions will create positive opportunities for others or merely serve personal interests, and this moral dimension adds depth to the narrative while encouraging viewers to think about the broader impact of their own decisions and contributions. And the film also excels at illustrating how legacy is connected to mentorship, because guidance, support, encouragement, and shared wisdom frequently help younger or less experienced individuals grow and develop, creating positive effects that continue long after a specific interaction has ended. And this emphasis on teaching and learning enriches the emotional core of the story while reinforcing the value of investing in others. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores continuity, because progress is often presented as a collective effort built upon the sacrifices, lessons, and achievements of previous generations, and this perspective adds historical and emotional weight to the world while making the characters' journeys feel connected to something larger than themselves. And the relationships benefit significantly from this thematic focus, because trust, loyalty, respect, and friendship frequently involve the exchange of values, lessons, and experiences that shape future choices, creating emotional connections that extend beyond immediate circumstances and contribute to long-term personal growth throughout the narrative. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that legacy is not always intentional, because people often influence others through everyday behavior, attitudes, decisions, and examples without fully realizing the impact they are having. And this realism adds authenticity while highlighting the importance of personal responsibility and self-awareness within the story. And the action sequences gain additional meaning as a result, because moments of courage, leadership, sacrifice, determination, and teamwork frequently demonstrate values that inspire others and contribute to a broader sense of purpose beyond simple victory or success, ensuring that dramatic events remain connected to the film's deeper thematic concerns. And another strength lies in the portrayal of inspiration, because characters often become motivated by the examples set by those they admire, and this chain of positive influence creates emotional resonance while reinforcing the idea that meaningful achievements can encourage others to pursue growth, excellence, and service in their own lives. And the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of reflection, recognition, gratitude, and personal realization carry significant weight when viewed through the lens of legacy, creating a sense of continuity and purpose that enriches the overall viewing experience. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing personal philosophies, aspirations, lessons learned, shared values, and evolving perspectives through conversations that remain natural, emotionally engaging, and closely connected to both characterization and thematic exploration, while strengthening audience investment in the narrative. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of legacy through expressive animation, symbolic imagery, meaningful character interactions, carefully crafted emotional moments, and subtle visual details that communicate continuity, influence, and growth without requiring excessive exposition, adding sophistication and emotional depth to the film. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that the most meaningful legacies are often measured not by personal gain but by the positive difference made in the lives of others, and this perspective gives the story a sense of warmth, humility, and emotional sincerity that remains impactful long after the action has concluded. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that every choice contributes to a larger story, and that individuals possess the ability to shape the future through the values they uphold, the relationships they nurture, and the examples they provide, creating a powerful and universally relevant message that resonates across generations. And ultimately, Ejen, the movie too succeeds by transforming legacy into a profound emotional and thematic force that deepens character development, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative meaning, enhances audience engagement, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that the greatest achievements are often those that continue inspiring and benefiting others long after the original moment has passed. Ejen, The movie too further expands its emotional and thematic richness through its exploration of balance because the film consistently demonstrates that success often depends upon finding harmony between competing responsibilities. Personal ambitions, emotional needs, technological advancement, teamwork, leadership, caution, and courage, while showing that true wisdom emerges not from choosing one extreme over another but from understanding how different priorities can coexist and support one another when approached with maturity and self-awareness. And this theme becomes increasingly important as the narrative progresses because many of the challenges faced by the characters involve situations where simple solutions do not exist and where thoughtful judgment is required to navigate conflicting demands and expectations. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays balance as a skill that must be developed through experience because individuals frequently struggle to manage responsibilities, relationships, goals, emotions, and pressures simultaneously. And the story realistically acknowledges that growth often involves learning how to prioritize without neglecting important aspects of life, and this perspective strengthens the emotional authenticity of the narrative while making character development feel grounded and relatable. And another major strength involves the recognition that balance is closely connected to decision-making because characters repeatedly encounter circumstances where acting too quickly, relying too heavily on a single strategy, or focusing exclusively on one objective can create unintended consequences, and these situations encourage flexibility, reflection, and adaptability while reinforcing the broader themes of responsibility and leadership that run throughout the film. And the movie also excels at illustrating how balance influences relationships because trust, communication, cooperation, independence, and loyalty all require careful attention and mutual understanding, and the narrative effectively demonstrates that healthy connections are strengthened when individuals respect both their own needs and the perspectives of others, creating emotionally meaningful interactions that contribute significantly to audience investment in the story. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores the relationship between technology and humanity because advanced systems, innovative tools, and powerful capabilities are consistently presented alongside the importance of empathy, judgment, ethics, and personal responsibility, creating a thoughtful examination of how progress should be guided by human values rather than replacing them. And this thematic depth helps distinguish the film from more conventional science fiction adventures while adding intellectual substance to its entertainment value, and the action sequences benefit greatly from this focus because success frequently depends upon combining preparation with improvisation, confidence with caution, and individual talent with teamwork, ensuring that dramatic moments remain connected to the larger themes of the story while showcasing impressive creativity and strategic thinking. And another reason the film remains engaging is its understanding that balance often requires compromise because not every goal can be achieved simultaneously, and characters must sometimes make difficult choices regarding priorities, resources, and commitments, and this realism adds emotional complexity while encouraging viewers to appreciate the challenges associated with responsible decision-making. And the emotional atmosphere becomes particularly effective because moments of reflection, growth, understanding, and personal realization emerge naturally from the characters' efforts to navigate competing demands, creating a sense of maturity that strengthens both the narrative and its emotional impact. And another strength lies in the portrayal of self-control because the story repeatedly suggests that wisdom involves knowing when to act, when to wait, when to lead, when to listen, and when to seek support. And this perspective adds depth to the character arcs while reinforcing the film's broader emphasis on learning and development rather than simple achievement. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing differing perspectives, internal conflicts, evolving priorities, strategic considerations, and emotional insights through conversations that remain engaging, authentic, and closely tied to both characterization and thematic exploration while maintaining strong narrative momentum throughout the story. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of balance through carefully composed scenes, Expressive animation, symbolic imagery, coordinated action choreography, and subtle emotional details that communicate harmony, tension, adaptation, and growth without requiring excessive exposition, adding sophistication and richness to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that balance is not a permanent state because circumstances constantly change and individuals must continue learning, adjusting, and reassessing their priorities in response to new challenges and opportunities. And this realistic understanding gives the theme additional emotional resonance while reinforcing the ongoing nature of personal growth and maturity. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that lasting success depends not on maximizing a single strength but on developing the ability to integrate multiple qualities, perspectives, and responsibilities into a cohesive approach to life, creating a thoughtful and inspiring message that resonates far beyond the immediate events of the plot. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming balance into a powerful emotional and thematic force that deepens characterization, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative complexity, enhances audience engagement, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that true strength often comes from knowing how to bring different elements together in a way that allows them to support and improve one another. Ejen Ali, the movie too achieves another level of excellence through its exploration of adaptability because the film consistently demonstrates that survival, growth, and success in a rapidly changing world depend upon the ability to respond intelligently to new information, unexpected challenges, shifting circumstances, evolving technology, and unforeseen obstacles, while showing that flexibility is often just as valuable as strength, intelligence, experience, or determination. And this thematic focus gives the narrative additional relevance because the characters repeatedly discover that rigid thinking can become a limitation, whereas adaptability creates opportunities for innovation, problem solving, and personal development. And one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays adaptability as an active process of learning rather than a passive reaction, because individuals are frequently required to reassess assumptions, modify strategies, embrace unfamiliar situations, and remain open to alternative perspectives in order to overcome difficulties. And this realistic approach strengthens character growth while reinforcing the idea that progress often begins when people become willing to change and evolve in response to new realities. And another major strength involves the recognition that adaptability is closely connected to resilience because the ability to recover from setbacks, learn from mistakes, and continue moving forward often depends upon a willingness to adjust expectations and explore new possibilities rather than remaining trapped by disappointment or frustration. And this relationship between flexibility and perseverance adds emotional depth to the narrative while encouraging viewers to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than permanent barriers. And the film also excels at illustrating how adaptability influences teamwork because effective collaboration frequently requires individuals to adjust communication styles, reconsider assumptions, support one another in different ways, and respond collectively to changing conditions. And the narrative effectively demonstrates that strong teams are not those that avoid problems entirely but those that can evolve together when confronted with uncertainty, creating emotionally satisfying relationships that enhance audience engagement throughout the story. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores the role of innovation because characters often succeed by thinking creatively, combining existing resources in unexpected ways, and remaining willing to experiment with new solutions rather than relying solely on familiar methods. And this emphasis on imagination and resourcefulness enriches the science fiction elements of the film while reinforcing its broader themes regarding learning and development. And the action sequences benefit significantly from this focus because victories rarely feel predetermined and instead emerge through observation, adaptation, strategy, and quick decision-making, creating suspenseful and dynamic confrontations that remain intellectually engaging alongside their visual excitement. And another reason the movie remains compelling is its understanding that adaptability can be uncomfortable because change frequently requires leaving familiar routines, confronting uncertainty, and accepting that previous assumptions may no longer be valid. And the narrative realistically acknowledges these emotional challenges while demonstrating that growth often occurs outside established comfort zones, and this balance between difficulty and opportunity strengthens the authenticity of the character journeys throughout the film. And the emotional atmosphere becomes especially effective because moments of adjustment, realization, and successful adaptation carry genuine significance after viewers have witnessed the effort and uncertainty required to achieve them, creating satisfying emotional payoffs that reinforce the value of flexibility and perseverance. And another strength lies in the portrayal of curiosity, because the story repeatedly suggests that people who remain willing to learn, ask questions, and explore new ideas are often better prepared to handle unexpected situations. And this perspective adds intellectual richness while encouraging audiences to appreciate the importance of lifelong learning and open-mindedness. And the dialogue continues to support these themes effectively by revealing evolving viewpoints, strategic discussions, personal reflections, lessons learned, and changing priorities through conversations that remain natural, engaging, and closely connected to both characterization and thematic exploration while maintaining strong narrative momentum. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of adaptability through dynamic action choreography, expressive animation, creative environmental design, symbolic imagery, and carefully observed character reactions that communicate growth and flexibility without relying on excessive exposition, adding depth and sophistication to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that adaptability often inspires confidence, because individuals become more willing to face future challenges when they discover their capacity to adjust, learn, and succeed under difficult circumstances. And this positive cycle of experience and self-belief strengthens both personal development and collective achievement throughout the story while contributing to its uplifting tone. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that the future belongs not necessarily to the strongest or most talented individuals, but to those who remain willing to evolve, learn, and respond creatively to changing circumstances, creating a thoughtful and universally relevant message that resonates beyond the immediate events of the narrative. And ultimately, Ejen Ali, the movie too succeeds by transforming adaptability into a major emotional and thematic force that deepens character development, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative engagement, enhances action and suspense, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that growth often begins when people stop resisting change and start learning how to thrive within it. Ejen Ali, the movie too further enhances its narrative depth through its exploration of self-belief, because the film consistently demonstrates that confidence is not something automatically granted by talent, technology, experience, or success, but is gradually developed through effort, learning, perseverance, reflection, and the willingness to continue trusting oneself even during moments of uncertainty. While this theme becomes a powerful emotional foundation for many of the character journeys and helps create a story that feels both inspiring and relatable across different age groups, and one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the way it portrays self-belief as something that must be earned, because characters frequently face situations where doubt, pressure, fear of failure, and external expectations challenge their confidence and force them to question whether they are capable of meeting the demands placed upon them. And this realistic approach strengthens emotional authenticity while making personal victories feel meaningful and deserved rather than inevitable. And another major strength involves the recognition that self-belief often develops through action, because confidence grows when individuals confront challenges, learn from mistakes, overcome obstacles, and discover strengths they may not have fully recognized within themselves, and the narrative effectively illustrates how experience can gradually replace uncertainty with trust in one's own judgment and abilities, creating satisfying character progression throughout the story. And the film also excels at demonstrating the difference between confidence and arrogance, because the most effective characters are those who balance belief in themselves with humility, responsibility, openness to learning, and respect for others. And this nuanced perspective adds maturity to the storytelling while reinforcing broader themes regarding growth, teamwork, and leadership. And another notable achievement is the way the narrative explores the influence of external support, because encouragement from friends, mentors, teammates, and trusted allies often helps individuals recognize potential they may overlook within themselves, and this emphasis on positive relationships enriches the emotional core of the film while showing that self-belief can be strengthened through connection and mutual trust rather than existing in complete isolation. And the relationships continue to benefit significantly from this thematic focus, because many emotional developments emerge from moments where characters support, challenge, encourage, or inspire one another, creating authentic interactions that deepen audience investment and strengthen the overall impact of the narrative. And another reason the movie remains engaging is its understanding that self-belief can fluctuate, because even capable individuals experience moments of hesitation, frustration, uncertainty, and disappointment, and the story realistically acknowledges these emotional realities while demonstrating that confidence is often maintained not through perfection but through resilience and persistence. And this balance helps create relatable characters whose struggles and achievements resonate more strongly with viewers, and the action sequences gain additional significance because they frequently serve as opportunities for characters to test their abilities, trust their instincts, apply lessons learned through experience, and discover new levels of confidence under pressure, ensuring that dramatic moments remain connected to personal development rather than functioning solely as visual spectacle. And another strength lies in the portrayal of self-discovery, because the film repeatedly suggests that confidence is closely linked to understanding one's strengths, weaknesses, values, and priorities, and that genuine self-belief emerges when individuals develop a realistic and honest view of themselves. And this perspective adds psychological depth while reinforcing the broader themes of identity and maturity that run throughout the story. And the emotional atmosphere becomes especially effective because moments of realization, determination, growth, and achievement carry substantial weight when contrasted with earlier doubt and uncertainty, creating rewarding emotional payoffs that strengthen audience engagement and narrative satisfaction. And the dialogue continues to support these ideas effectively by revealing fears, aspirations, internal conflicts, personal reflections, and evolving perspectives through conversations that remain natural, meaningful, and closely connected to both characterization and thematic exploration, while maintaining emotional authenticity and narrative momentum. And the visual storytelling further enhances the examination of self-belief through expressive animation, symbolic imagery, carefully observed reactions, dynamic action choreography, and subtle emotional details that communicate growth and confidence without requiring excessive exposition, adding richness and sophistication to the viewing experience. And another compelling aspect of the narrative is its recognition that self-belief can inspire others, because individuals who trust themselves and continue striving toward meaningful goals often encourage teammates, friends, and communities to pursue their own growth and potential, creating positive influence that extends beyond personal success and strengthens the collective spirit of the story. And throughout the movie there is a clear appreciation for the idea that confidence is not about never experiencing doubt but about refusing to let doubt define one's future, creating a thoughtful and uplifting message that resonates with audiences while reinforcing the emotional heart of the film. And ultimately, Ejen, the movie too succeeds by transforming self-belief into a powerful emotional and thematic force that deepens character development, enriches relationships, strengthens narrative engagement, enhances the significance of action and drama, and creates a memorable cinematic experience built upon the understanding that some of the most important victories begin when people learn to believe in themselves.